decided to change their name. So you can have a little look at the story. So, just to kind of leave you with some things to think about, and ways that Amplified Leicester can kind of move forward as an entity. Different things could be ways that the group can come up with better ways of addressing social need and local needs and things that are specific to here. Some of the things I've talked about, like some of the projects, might not be able to be implemented here, or they're massive and Leicester's community needs are a lot different. So this is about looking at what you could do in Leicester to make it a better place. Also, ways, I know it's open to the public now, but ways of including and consulting unamplified individuals. So the project I spoke to you about earlier, Have a Go Heroes, was all about carers and helping people who need help in their daily lives get that support. Now, if you think of an elderly person, they don't use the internet. So in Have a Go Heroes, it's the carer that's leveraging the champion because they don't have access to the internet or they likely won't be using it. But young people are great with the internet, and a lot of carers would be able to nominate that champion. It's the same as ways for you guys to include unamplified individuals. So they might not be a part of the core group, but they could be people that you reach out to that could spread the information to other people who just want to take part or want to get involved. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, you can use the web to reach out to the members of Amplified Leicester, but coming up with ways that amplified individuals are able to take that message away to other people to be part of it. And increased collaboration and strengthening of relationships. I think what Amplified Leicester has is pretty powerful, and if you're able to continue keeping the group together and growing it and coming up with different projects, I think that the fact that even 12 people can show up on a Wednesday morning says a lot about people's interest in this thing, and it's just a way of connecting your community really and making things a lot closer and basically keeping things in Leicester accessible and allowing people to be a part of it but also contribute to it when they can or when they can't. And I was speaking to Ash at the beginning about this because at Social Innovation Camp we bring people from diverse backgrounds together, just like Amplified Leicester. And sometimes when we need specific skills, we're able to pull them out. So you'll find as Amplified Leicester grows, you'll be able to pull out specific skills to help on different projects or different things people are working on. And that could also be something new to take forward. That's all I have.
I just got a quick question. How did Social Innovation Camp kind of manage a kind of handoff? You seem like you're facilitating lots of projects like up and down the country, and they are. I mean, I find them very inspiring. But how do you kind of manage that handoff to somebody else who's then running it?
So this is going to sound ridiculous, but what we say to every project that we have at the end of a weekend is, if you need anything, call us. Which sounds like a really big ask. When you're telling someone if you need anything to phone us, that does seem like, wow, we're going to be really busy. But them knowing that they can call if they get stuck is enough, and they usually just run with it. So what we do is we check in on our projects every so often, and we'll set kind of dates. So with the Scotland kind
I think that's probably really important, isn't it? Setting dates for things.
Yeah, so checkpoints. And something else we also did is we matched each project with mentors if they wanted it. So we said we can give you a mentor who you meet with once a month for an hour for coffee to kind of talk about roadblocks or hurdles that you come across or things that are going really well for you. And that's just their way of having someone who's not involved in SI Camp, not involved in what they're doing, just kind of from the outside that we can find that can help the group along the way. And some of our projects die off. Part of it is it's really hard for people, very hard for people, to stop working and start something they're passionate about. And that's our biggest problem, is people are really passionate, but it's a really big ask for people to just stop their job and I'm going to work for free and try to start up this thing that's going to help people. It's not. If people can fit it into their regular job, which some of our projects have managed to, then that makes it a lot easier for them to carry it on because their work allows them to have that project on the side in addition to their daily kind of career. So it's more just being there to support it, but letting it kind of grow on its own. But having checkpoints is great because then you can hear from the group. Maybe you find out, and the learning you get from it is, oh, we got stuck because no one turned up, or we can't find a venue. But some things are really easy to work around, especially if you can get a critical mass with Amplified Leicester. You could find a place in town that will donate the space to you because you've got that mass of people who are doing good things or who are involved in some sort of way, and finding different people. That's how SI Camp started at the beginning. Is we received a small amount of funding, and we have so many supporters that helped us with in-kind support. So in-kind legal advice, in-kind venue support. We bring 100 people to your venue, they'll get drinks, but we get the space for free. And I kind of see Amplified Leicester working in such a way, because it's so community-based, that if you can find people, even on a rotational basis, that would host your group, for example, once a month, then that solves the problem of finding a space that you have to pay for, at least in the interim, until you either get more funding or you decide the group's developing in a different way. Just one more thing about not knowing and hitting the wall of doubt. It's also thinking about ideas that are on the way to solutions and way you can work around it. Because if you've got an idea of a problem that you want to solve, you're going to hit that wall of, can I get stakeholders involved? Who's going to buy into this? Who's going to like it? But the scariest thing about an idea is actually putting it out there. And that might be the first step, is when you put it out there and you bounce it off people. It could be you bounce it off the group at Amplified Leicester. It could be you make a little blog, or someone makes a blog for you and you put your thoughts up there, and then you see what feedback you're getting, because that's kind of the best way to know, and also what other things exist that are similar. My post started very similarly. The 82 words I was telling you about before was actually called My Public Services, and what Sarah wanted was a feedback system for all public services. And we said, that's amazing, that's massive, good luck. And then decided that, asked for different components she thought would be important, and we said, well, patient opinion kind of exists already, so that crosses out the NHS one. And then she thought police, and so she focused on the police, and that's taken off. And then it could grow to include other things, not just the police service, but for now, that was kind of their focal point, because you start small, and then you grow it around that, and then it could turn into something you didn't even expect it to. Funding and grants is just a really special territory to navigate, just because of some of the restrictions on things. And we've run into this with SI Camp, because we received some startup money from Nesta, and then that lasted for about 6 months before we had to start thinking about how are we going to raise money to become a sustainable organization, because we're a registered non-profit, limited by guarantee. And navigating the funding space is really tough, because people would always say to us, oh, we don't fund events, and we'd say, we're not an event, we're a community, we're much more than just one weekend event. We're 20 prototypes, and we'd go on and, sorry, you're an event. And because we ticked that one box, so many people were closed off to us. But what we found is the people that were closed off to us weren't closed off to our projects, which is ironic. But it's just a matter of looking at, seeing, I know you've probably exhausted what's out there.
Well, we tried.
You can come up with other ways too. So if you're registered as a non-profit, you could come up with different models of branching out to find different ways you could attract funding. Be it, some people only like funding events, so maybe you add an aspect that could give that, or you add a different function into it that could tap into new sources. Business Link is really helpful with